Tonight, we delve into the shadows, uncovering the top 10 forbidden cursed objects that should never, ever be touched. These are not mere antiques or curiosities. They are relics bound by ancient, unbreakable rules. Rules where simple curiosity is a punishable offense, where your attention marks you, and where survival depends on one thing: listening very, very carefully. This is Paul, and this is After Dark. This is the hour where stories are not told for entertainment, but for survival. There are things in this world, forces and objects, that do not want to be understood. They only want to be remembered. The only way to endure their presence is by learning the rules left behind by those who failed to do so. These rules are old, far older than belief, older than the very concept of reason, and they were never meant to be broken. Tonight's story, tonight's list, is one of those dire warnings. So, I need you to listen carefully. What follows is not meant to scare you, it's meant to prepare you. Before you hear about the objects themselves, you must understand a fundamental truth. Some objects aren't haunted because something malevolent forced its way inside. They are haunted because something was invited in. And that invitation, once accepted, can never be rescinded. They say the largest haunted museums are never truly quiet, even when completely empty. Imagine an ecosystem, but not of living things. It's an ecosystem of influence, where thousands of artifacts, each with its own dark history, begin to react to one another. It creates a symphony of unease, something no inventory list could ever predict or explain. The staff who work there, day in and day out, often report a creeping sense of dread, a feeling of being watched that has no clear source. They learn to live with it, but it never quite goes away. When you visit one of these places, you have to sign a waiver. It's not because danger is guaranteed, but because absolute safety can't be. You're stepping into an environment where the rules of the ordinary world feel thin, and yet, people flock to these museums. Some come out of pure curiosity, others on a dare, fueled by bravado. Then there are those who believe that by witnessing something truly extraordinary, something beyond our understanding, they can finally give a name to their own deepest fears. They hope to confront the unknown and walk away stronger. But what happens when you leave? Many leave with stories they can't quite articulate, experiences that words fail to capture. The feeling lingers. And some, they say, carry something back with them. Not a ghost in the traditional sense, but something intangible, a persistent shadow that attaches itself to their own lives. You see, the truth isn't that every single object in the museum is haunted by a spirit. The reality is much, much worse. The truth is that meaning accumulates. Think about it. Every time someone looks at an object with intense emotion, that attention alters it. Every ounce of belief, every wave of fear, guilt, or obsession leaves a residue. It's like a psychic stain that builds up over decades, even centuries. Eventually, an object that has been soaked in enough human longing and terror no longer needs a spirit to be active. It has absorbed so much that it begins to remember. And a memory, especially one that's been trapped inside an object for so long, has a way of wanting to be felt again. It wants you to feel what it remembers. Ever felt a chill down your spine just by looking at an old object? Some things are better left untouched. And today we're diving into the top 10 most forbidden cursed items in the world. From the infamous Annabelle Doll, whose real story is even more terrifying than the movies, to the Hope Diamond, rumored to bring misfortune to anyone who owns it. Imagine a mirror that doesn't just show your reflection, but echoes of a tragic past, or a blood-stained manuscript that whispers dark secrets to its reader. There's also the widow's locket, which carries a sorrow so deep it clings to you. These aren't just stories, they're warnings. We'll also uncover the secrets of the singing skull, the blackened hourglass, Isaac's chair, the phantom box, and the eerie Lucien the doll, ready to explore the forbidden. The story of the Annabelle doll starts with something completely ordinary, and maybe that was its greatest trick. It was a simple, soft-bodied doll with a clumsily stitched, uneven painted smile. It was bought casually, given as a gift with no real thought, and brought into an apartment filled with the quiet routines of adult life. At first, the changes were so small they were easy to ignore. A strange draft, the feeling of being watched, objects slightly out of place. The doll seemed to be at the center of it. It would show up on the couch after being left on the bed. Its cloth limbs would be in poses that looked intentional, not just the result of gravity. Then, notes started appearing. Scraps of paper with messy, childish handwriting that didn't belong to anyone in the apartment. The messages weren't threatening, which was even more unsettling. They asked for help, they pleaded, they spoke with a strange familiarity, as if a relationship already existed. The first real moment of terror happened to a visiting friend. He woke up feeling a heavy pressure on his chest, unable to breathe. When he opened his eyes, the doll was right there, its stitched gaze locked onto him. He later found fresh, burning scratches across his torso. Fear turned to anger. The doll was thrown out, dismissed as just an object. For a short time, the apartment felt lighter, calmer, but the relief didn't last. One morning, the doll's limp arms slowly rose from the table, a deliberate, stretching motion. This was the turning point. Denial was replaced by a chilling fascination. They needed answers, so they called a medium. She told them a tragic story. The spirit of a lost child was clinging to the doll, lonely and needing comfort. A name was given, an explanation was offered, and it was almost reassuring to think the presence wasn't malicious. They gave it permission to stay, and that's when everything truly changed. Later, experts would try to explain it all away. Stress, suggestion, coincidence. They argued the mind can create patterns where none exists. According to them, the doll was just cloth and thread. But if that's all it was, why is it still kept behind thick, blessed glass? Something to think about. Have you ever heard of a gem so beautiful, so mesmerizing, that its very existence is shrouded in a trail of misfortune? Today, we're delving into the legend of the blue curse. A diamond so impossibly blue it seems to swallow light itself, along with the luck and lives of anyone who dares to possess it. Our story begins in the heart of Europe, where this deep blue diamond first appeared in the lavish royal courts of France. It was an object of pure desire, coveted by kings and nobles for its unmatched beauty. Imagine a gem with a sapphire-like glow, seeming to pulse with its own inner light. But with every hand it passed through, disaster followed. Those who adorned themselves with this stone soon found their lives unraveling. Betrayal, financial ruin, and even death seemed to lurk in its brilliant facets. King Louis XIV, completely captivated by its color, had it recut and placed among his crown jewels, but this only sealed the fate for its future owners. The diamond became a silent witness to the downfall of the French monarchy. By the time it reached King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, the whispers of the curse had grown into a roar. The diamond watched as the French Revolution unfolded, its cold brilliance a stark contrast to the chaos and bloodshed in the streets of Paris. As the monarchy crumbled, the diamond seemed to mock the very royalty it once adorned. After the royal treasures were looted, the blue curse vanished from the public eye. It slipped into private hands, resurfacing across Europe over the years, always leaving a trail of heartbreak and misfortune in its wake. It's as if the diamond itself carries the weight of its dark history. Today, this infamous gem is housed behind heavy glass at the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C., where millions can safely admire its beauty. Historians and collectors who have studied it report a strange sense of unease in its presence, as if the stone remembers the greed and violence it has witnessed. This brings us to an ancient, unspoken rule. Beauty may capture the eye and curiosity may tempt the mind, but some things are never meant to be possessed. The blue curse is a reminder that the most beautiful objects can carry the heaviest burdens. You can look, but never, ever, covet what remembers everything. Deep in the mist-shrouded hills of the French countryside, there's a decaying manor the land itself seems to want to forget. Inside, mounted as if the house was built around it, is the Mirror of Echoes. Its silver frame, tarnished by centuries, twists like grasping fingers. The glass itself seems to breathe, rippling faintly in the dim light. This isn't an ordinary mirror. Stand before it, and the reflection you see is both familiar and deeply wrong. It's an echo of you, but one shaped by malice. Its eyes stare just a little too long. Its mouth moves, but no sound comes out. Instead, whispers form inside your mind, sharing secrets that feel like lost memories. Most people look away instantly, hit with the terrifying certainty that the thing staring back knows them better than they know themselves. But what happens if you don't look away? What if you keep staring? That's when the echo breaks free. It stops mimicking you. It begins to move on its own, its gestures filled with silent cruelty, rehearsing acts that feel less like threats and more like promises. The longer you watch, the more you realize the mirror isn't showing what might happen. It's showing what will happen, or perhaps, what already has. Survivors of the mirror rarely speak of it. When they do, their voices tremble. Sleep becomes a luxury they can't afford, as their dreams fill with images of glass and silver. They wake up with the chilling feeling of being watched, only to see their own distorted reflection in surfaces where none should be: the dark screen of a phone, a puddle of still water, a polished spoon. They see a gaze that is not their own. Some even claim to have seen the mirror itself, standing silently in the corner of a room, far from the abandoned manor, just waiting for them. You see, the Mirror of Echoes doesn't chase you out of spite. It follows you because you invited it in. The moment you looked, you gave it permission. There are two simple rules for surviving an encounter with it. First, never stare for more than a heartbeat. And second, never, ever speak to what looks back. Ignoring these rules doesn't summon the shadow. It simply allows it to take root inside you. Far beyond Prague, tucked away in a remote monastery, lies a forbidden artifact. Pilgrims and scholars are kept at a distance, for this is a place where stone corridors swallow sound and prayers feel thin. Here, sealed in a chamber, is the Blood-Stained Manuscript. Its binding isn't leather, not in the usual sense. It's human skin, stretched and cured with an unsettling precision. Dark stains mar its surface, a history soaked deep into its very fibers. Inside, the pages are brittle and discolored. The text is a mystery, written in a language no living scholar can decipher. The symbols themselves feel wrong, unsettling to even look at. Those few who have dared to linger over the pages describe a strange pressure building in the air, a heaviness that settles right behind the eyes. It is said that to speak even a single line aloud is to invite something terrible back into the world. The legend speaks of the original scribe, who was killed violently while creating the book. His presence is said to seep back into the world for anyone who tries to read it. It doesn't come as a voice or a ghost, but as an intrusion into your own mind. Thoughts begin to fracture. People report feeling invisible quills scratching along the inside of their skulls, overwriting their memories and reason. Then, the visions begin. They aren't just nightmares. They are crystal clear intrusions into your waking life, glimpses of death, accidents that haven't happened yet, faces of people you've never met, an unshakable feeling that these endings are already written, that they are fixed and cannot be changed. The horrifying realization dawns that the manuscript isn't predicting these events. It's recording them before they happen. No one has ever read the manuscript in its entirety and remained unscathed. Some have abandoned their work, their minds hollowed out by whispers that follow them day and night. Others have simply vanished, leaving behind nothing but disturbed dust and the chilling sense that the book took something from them. The manuscript doesn't curse at random. It responds to curiosity, to the obsessive need to know, to the arrogant belief that knowledge can be taken without a price. There are rules. Never read it in full. Never remove it from its sealed case. Because with this book, curiosity is not innocence. It's an invitation. On the outskirts of Edinburgh, tucked away in a dusty old estate, there's an object that holds more than just a memory. It's called the widow's locket. The house itself feels heavy with sadness, its stone walls having soaked up centuries of grief. The air inside is never quite still, as if something is always waiting just out of sight. The locket is made of blackened gold and feels surprisingly heavy, like it's filled with more than just metal. If you were brave enough to open it, you'd find a tiny, unnervingly detailed portrait of a woman. Her eyes are dark and watchful, and they seem almost alive. People who have held the locket swear her gaze follows them around the room. A few even insist that her eyes blink, but only when you're not looking directly at them. The woman in the portrait was once a widow who lived in this very house. She was murdered in her sleep, her life taken silently, without a single witness, but something of her remained behind. All her sorrow and her rage coiled together and bound themselves to this locket, the one that used to rest against her heart. The locket doesn't scream for attention, it just waits, and it watches anyone who dares to wear the locket after dark reports the same terrifying sequence of events. It starts small. You might hear faint whispers, just on the edge of your hearing. You'll notice shadows that seem to stretch and linger in well-lit corners. Your sleep will become a nightmare, filled with dreams of unseen hands touching you, of cold breath on your skin. Before long, these disturbances will spill over into your waking life. A simple misstep on the stairs becomes a serious fall. A minor accident in the kitchen turns into a severe injury. Each incident is a little worse than the last, as if the locket is testing your limits, seeing how much you can take before you break. The locket craves acknowledgement. It feeds on your attention, your fear, and your respect. If you treat it like a simple piece of jewelry, prying it open to stare at the portrait, you'll feel its influence grow stronger. The misfortune it brings won't just affect you in the present. It'll echo backward into your past and stretch forward into your future, poisoning your relationships and even touching generations of your family that haven't been born yet. The widow doesn't want justice. She wants to be remembered, and she enforces that remembrance through chilling consequences. So, if you ever find yourself holding this locket, remember the two simple rules. First, never open it. And second, never, ever wear it after dusk. Show it respect, because that's the only way to survive. Defy it, and you'll extend an invitation that you can never take back. In a private collection, tucked away in the shadows of Vienna's old leaning buildings, there lies an object kept far from public view. The singing skull. It's ancient, unmistakably human, its brittle surface crisscrossed with a network of fine cracks. But these fractures aren't signs of decay. They've been carefully inlaid with thin veins of silver, not to mend the skull, but to hold it together as if its guardians feared what might happen if it ever broke apart completely. Most of the time it's just an old silver-laced relic. But on certain nights, when the moon hangs low and heavy over the city, something changes. The skull begins to hum. It's not a loud or demanding sound. It's a quiet, insidious melody that slips into the air. A tune that no one remembers learning, yet feels disturbingly familiar. Those who hear it can never pinpoint when it started, only that at some point, they realize the humming has always been there, just beneath the surface of silence. The initial effects are subtle, a creeping sensation of being watched. Shadows in the corner of your eye that twist and stretch in ways they shouldn't. A growing, unsettling certainty that your life is playing out according to a script you can't see, that decisions have already been made for you. Then, the visions start. They're not vague premonitions. They are sharp, unwanted flashes of death and loss. You see accidents happening a split second too late to stop them. You hear words spoken just moments after they could have made a difference. You feel the weight of choices that seem to have been made long before you were even aware a choice was needed. For those who linger, drawn in by the haunting melody, whispers begin to form beneath the hum. They don't command or threaten. They simply suggest outcomes, threading themselves into your thoughts until you can't tell them from your own. The skull just waits, patiently. Some people, driven by an unbearable need to understand the song's meaning, move closer. They become convinced that if they just listen a little longer, the secrets will be revealed. These are the ones who disappear. There's never a struggle, never a sign of a break-in, just an empty room, a faint echo of a song clinging to the walls, and the chilling impression that the skull has finished with them. Its song is not a curse. It's a warning, offered patiently, endlessly, to anyone foolish enough to listen. There's only one rule: never touch the skull while it hums. Silence is your only safety, because once you pay attention to the singing skull, it's an invitation you won't be able to refuse. In a forgotten collection, once held by a noble family whose line came to an abrupt, mysterious end, lies an hourglass like no other. Its glass is dark, almost opaque, as if smoke is permanently trapped within. The sand inside isn't the usual golden hue. It's nearly black, as fine and unsettling as ash. They call it the blackened hourglass. When left alone, its dark grains fall slowly, obediently marking the passage of moments. But a strange thing happens when it's watched. If you fix your gaze upon it, the sand seems to hesitate, even suspending itself mid-fall, as if time itself is uncertain whether to proceed under your observation. It's a deeply unsettling sight, a defiance of the very laws of physics. Those who spend too much time near the hourglass report bizarre shifts in their perception of time. Minutes can stretch into what feels like an eternity. Conversations become disjointed and trail off into confusion, and the sun seems to linger in the sky, reluctant to set. For others, the effect is the opposite. Entire hours vanish without a trace. Meals are forgotten, and daylight suddenly gives way to the dead of night, with no memory of the time in between. The closer you stand to the hourglass, the more unreliable your reality becomes. Cause and effect start to feel loose, unanchored, like a dream you can't wake from. But the true terror begins with a touch. Those brave or foolish enough to lay a hand on its darkened glass speak of unwelcome visions. These aren't dreams. They are moments, delivered with chilling clarity. They are intimate, personal glimpses of their own final seconds. The horror isn't always in the violence of the end. Sometimes, it's a quiet stillness, a final breath that is never taken, a room silently left behind. The true horror lies in the absolute certainty that the hourglass has already seen your end, and it has just shown it to you. Naturally, many have tried to destroy the object, but all attempts have failed. The glass refuses to crack. The sand never spills. Those who try to turn it over are immediately struck with intense vertigo and nausea, overwhelmed by a dizzying sense of déjà vu, as if they're trapped in a loop, reliving the same moment over and over. There are rules for dealing with the blackened hourglass, passed down in whispers. Never turn it. Never, ever watch the sand for more than a fleeting glance, because the time near the glass does not belong to you. And once it feels your attention, it begins to take a very personal interest. In a quiet corner of an old pub, where the scent of aged wood and spilled ale hangs in the air, sits a chair. It's nothing special to look at, just a simple, sturdy oak chair, worn smooth by time. But this isn't just any chair. This is Isaac's chair. No one really knows who Isaac was anymore. The name is just a whisper from the past, spoken with a hint of fear. The strange thing is, the chair is never roped off or put away. It sits there invitingly, as if waiting for its next occupant. But the locals know better. They'll tell you stories. Their voice is low, about what happens to those who dare to sit in it. They say, the moment you settle into the seat, a heavy weight presses down on your chest, making it hard to breathe. Your neck begins to ache, an intense, straining pain, as if an invisible force is pushing your head down. Some people even claim to hear the faint, chilling creak of a rope tightening, or feel their body being shifted into a position they didn't choose. It's as if the chair itself is trying to tell you a story, a grim, final one. The chair's curse doesn't always strike right away. Some people get up feeling perfectly fine, only to collapse just a few steps away from the pub's entrance. Others might walk away, but in the following days, they become pale and weak, their health mysteriously fading away without any explanation. It's a slow, creeping dread that takes hold and doesn't let go. You might think, why not just get rid of it? Well, they've tried. Whenever someone attempts to move Isaac's chair, it becomes impossibly heavy, as if it's rooted to the very floorboards of the pub. And even if they manage to drag it a short distance, the next morning, it's always back in its usual spot, silent and waiting. There's a simple rule in this pub, one that everyone follows without question. Never, ever sit in Isaac's chair. And don't even think about putting your coat or bag on it. The chair, you see, considers any weight placed upon it as an invitation, a form of consent. It carries the memory of a dark judgment from long ago, and it seems all too eager to share that final, terrifying experience with anyone who dares to get too close. So if you ever find yourself in this old pub, enjoy your drink, soak in the history. But whatever you do, leave that one empty chair alone. In the deepest, dustiest archives beneath a forgotten European city, there lies a small wooden box. It's unassuming, darkened by centuries, and bound with iron bands. But these bands aren't meant for protection, they're meant for containment. The symbols etched into the iron are warnings, meant to deny passage, not to grant it. This is the Phantom Box. It's not called the Phantom Box because it's empty. What's inside exists in a strange state, hovering between presence and absence. The spirit bound within isn't at rest, but it's not fully gone either. It just lingers, aware, its essence pressing faintly against the inside of the wood, listening to a world it can no longer be part of. Those few who have dared to handle the box all report the same chilling sensation, the feeling of being watched from within. Soon after, strange thoughts begin to surface, thoughts that don't feel like their own. In the corner of their eye, reflections seem to hesitate for a split second. Shadows stretch and linger a moment too long. The solid line between memory and imagination starts to blur and erode. But here's the truly terrifying part. The Phantom Box doesn't unleash some violent explosion of spectral energy when you open it. Its danger is far more subtle, more insidious. The presence inside craves what it has lost: proximity, warmth, the very breath of life. It offers whispers of comfort to the grieving, a guiding hand through despair, subtle suggestions that feel like sudden, brilliant personal insights, and people listen. They accept these offerings. In return, they find themselves slowly diminishing. Their expressions become hollow, their eyes vacant, their voices subtly change, taking on a new cadence, as if something else has learned how to speak through their vocal cords. There are rules for a reason. Never, ever open the Phantom Box. Never keep it near you while you sleep. And if, in the dead of night, you hear a faint scratching or movement from within, do not respond, because whatever answers you will not be among the living, and once it's welcomed, it will never, ever leave. In a cramped, forgotten house that once echoed with the laughter of a prosperous European family, there sits a doll, it's the size of a small child, dressed in what was once fine clothing, now faded and yellowed by time and touch. They call it Luchin. No one knows who first gave it this name, only that it's always spoken with a certain care, as if the name itself holds power. Its glass eyes are unsettling. They're set at an angle that never quite meets yours, making it seem like Lucien isn't just looking at the room, but waiting for something to happen within it. The first mercy Lucien offers is that it never moves while you're watching. The second is more deceptive. It lets you believe it's harmless. But anyone who has lived under the same roof tells a different story. They speak of small, deliberate disturbances. A door you left open is found firmly shut. An object you set on a table appears on the other side of the room overnight. Faint laughter sometimes drifts from empty, dust-filled hallways. Often, the doll is found in a new spot, seated perfectly upright, its posture neat, its expression unchanged, yet somehow expectant. Those who dare to speak ill of Lucien, or try to lock it away, face a quiet but escalating retaliation. Sleep becomes a luxury, filled with unease and restlessness. Pets will suddenly refuse to enter certain rooms. A sudden unexplained illness might take hold of the house's inhabitants. Sometimes, a spoken apology can lessen the oppressive feeling in the air, but forgiveness from Lucien is never a sure thing, and don't even think about destroying it. Attempts always fail in the most unnerving ways. Flames refuse to catch. Sharp objects mysteriously slip, and after every attempt, the doll reappears, placed carefully back in its spot, as if insulted but patiently waiting. There are rules you must follow if you find yourself with Lucien. Never, ever mock it. Never cover its eyes. If you have to move it, you must acknowledge it out loud when you are finished. Be warned, the doll remembers the tone of your voice as clearly as the words you speak, and it always keeps count. Some collectors will tell you that intention is everything. They believe cursed objects can be neutralized, soothed by care, containment, and even reverence. They tour with their collections, framing them as educational encounters with the unknown, arguing that as long as you don't own the object, you're safe. But objects don't understand contracts or loopholes. Dolls, picked up at a flea market, have brought a creeping unrest into homes that were once peaceful. It often starts with the animals. They're the first to sense something that doesn't belong, something incompatible with the living. Then, objects start to move on their own. Electronics glitch and fail in ways that no technician can diagnose. The escalation is subtle, almost polite at first, until you can no longer deny what's happening. Some of these items get buried, others are kept. The decision often comes down to pride. Think about buildings where energy just accumulates because it has nowhere else to go. Old bars where decades of laughter have literally soaked into the walls. Or homes where a deep grief settled in long ago and never truly left. In these places, chairs might tip over on their own. Doors swing when there's no draft. Shadows seem to linger a little too long in the corner of your eye. People invent explanations for these things because an explanation, any explanation, feels safer than accepting the truth. Paintings can hold this energy too. A piece created in a moment of intense emotion can retain that feeling, bleeding it back into the room over time. It seeps into your dreams, creates uneasy sensations, and slowly erodes your sense of comfort. People who inherit these pieces often wish they'd left them tucked away in the attic where they found them. Then you have museums dedicated to death. Their mission, they claim, is an estate to make life richer by confronting mortality. But spending too much time surrounded by endings can have an effect. Bones, tools, and personal artifacts all start to blur together. For some, reverence fades into a numb desensitization. Some visitors walk out feeling grateful for the life they have. Others leave with a distinct and unsettling feeling that they are being watched. The most famous occult collections are managed by people who understand the importance of boundaries. Blessings and cleansings are performed regularly. Objects are kept isolated from one another. Strict rules are enforced for both staff and visitors. But even with all these precautions, the air inside is heavy. It's not necessarily hostile, but it's dense, thick with the weight of unresolved stories and lingering intent. If you are still here, then it means something followed you through this story. That doesn't always mean danger, but it always means attention. Something has noticed you. It sees you, right now, listening to my voice. Do not go back. Do not replay the part that made your skin crawl or the hair on your arms stand up. Do not test what you felt in that moment. Curiosity is how these things learn your shape. They use it to trace your outline, to understand your fears, to find the cracks they can slip through. Think about the room you're in. Does anything feel off? Maybe it's an object you see every day, a picture on the wall, a chair in the corner. If it feels different after hearing this story, trust that instinct. Don't touch it. Don't examine it. Just create distance while you still can. This feeling isn't paranoia. It's a primal warning system, a sense we've almost lost. This channel, this space we call After Dark, isn't just about fear. It is about remembering what the bright, logical daylight has taught you to forget. The world is much older and stranger than we are taught. These stories, these warnings, they are survival guides for the shadows. If you want to make it through what comes next, you need to stay close and listen carefully. There are rules to this unseen world, and it's better to learn them now, before you absolutely need them, before something is standing in your doorway, before you hear your name whispered from an empty room. So, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Don't miss the next warning, because some stories end when the video does. These don't. They are just getting started. Thanks for listening. Stay safe.